Alright, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. For those of you that are curious, I see there's been a couple questions already. We are going to be recording this webinar today, so if for some reason you need to leave early or you have a colleague that's going to be coming in late, don't worry, we will record this and we will post it on our website. We'll actually send out an email blast when it's available to everyone so you can watch at your convenience. So let's go ahead and get started. My name is Brandon Grant. I'm the Marketing Director here at QuoteWerks, and today we're going to be demonstrating and discussing the new features in QuoteWerks version 5.2, build 6 and 8. So in these two releases, we had a lot of new features, so we're going to cover kind of the major ones and go over how you can utilize them in your installation. For our webinar today, we're going to do a very short PowerPoint presentation, just a few slides to kind of discuss and kind of introduce these features to you. Then we'll do an actual live demo of these features, and then we'll take questions at the end. If you look in the little GoToWebinar box that you use to sign in, you'll see there's a box for questions. As we're going through, if you have questions, just post them in there. I typically will wait to the end of the webinar and circle back to answer questions just so we can kind of stay on topic. So if you can hang out for the last 15-20 minutes or so, at the end of the webinar, I'll go through and I'll answer as many questions as time allows. Okay, so to get started, so builds 6 and 8 had introduced 53 new features. So we actually added, these are brand new features that weren't in QuoteWerks before, so we updated and include these in the latest 2 releases. We introduced 60 fixes, so for any of you that may have had an issue or something that needed to be resolved, this is where you can update QuoteWerks and you'll have the, hopefully, issue resolved there. And then we added 12 miscellaneous features, which are just kind of smaller features, maybe enhance an existing feature. So we always like to start with integration updates. For those of you that are using ConnectWise, we do fully support ConnectWise 2017.5 and .4 in the latest releases. So those are the latest available from ConnectWise. QuoteWerks is fully compatible. We also added QuickBooks Online Support, so any of you that are using QuickBooks Online, that is now fully integrated and supported in QuoteWerks. The one thing to note about the QuickBooks Online integration is it does require a subscription. So if you're still on QuickBooks Desktop and you want to keep QuickBooks Desktop, that's fine. If you want to use QuickBooks Online, or if they're forcing you to move to QuickBooks Online, then you'll just need to sign up for our subscription. You can contact our sales team for more details. If you want to test it out, you can absolutely do that. We offer free trials as well. For those of you in the IT industry or the specifically use Jenny, we added part locator support. So in Utilize, when you're doing a search for your items, you can actually search for Jenny items in there as well now. Jenny is actually allowing us to host their product database, their product list, so we can actually do a search. You don't have to import their price list anymore. And then finally, we added support for Ingram Micro Lease IT support. So for those of you that offer financing options through Ingram Micro Lease IT program, you'll actually be able to generate your financing options directly from QuoteWerks here. So the QuickBooks Online integration, this is one of the bigger features that we released in build 6 and 8. The integration is fully complete. It has the ability to export any document you create in QuoteWerks to QuickBooks Online as an estimate, invoice, or sales receipt. So basically, any of those 3 document types, we will actually duplicate them in QuickBooks Online. We have full item list support, contact support, PO support, and you can purchase the subscription as either an annual subscription. We can tie it in with your maintenance, so that you're not having to pay your maintenance 1 month and then 3 months later have to pay QuickBooks. We can co-terminate the dates, or you can have it as a monthly subscription, and that's a lot easier for some of you just to pay it monthly and not have to worry about any type of annual renewals. So we're going to go fully into this integration here, but it's going to work very similar to the QuickBooks Desktop integration, where if the document doesn't exist, we're going to create the document for you, create the line items for you, and we'll kind of walk through that process today. QuoteValet support for YouTube videos. This is a popular feature that has been requested from a number of you, so we were able to add that in here. Basically what this will do is allow you to link any video that's on YouTube directly to your QuoteValet document. If you have your own YouTube account or you upload your own videos, you'll actually be able to pull directly from that account instead of having to copy and paste directly from YouTube, which I'll demonstrate here in just a few minutes. For the documents, you can actually include single or multiple videos for your documents, as well as default videos, so you don't have to remember to set up and include the videos each time. We can actually set some defaults there. And then we also have kind of a new twist on this functionality is line item support for videos, where you can include a video for a specific line item in your document. Maybe if it's a new product or service you're offering, you want to provide some more details to it, you can actually include more information here. So really exciting, a really great functionality that you can take advantage of right now. All right, Windows Authentication Login Support. This is a big feature for a lot of you who've asked for a way to essentially automate your login into QuoteWerks. You can now do that. I'm going to show you how easy it is to set up. It'll take you about 30 seconds tops, where basically you just add your username and domain to log into QuoteWerks automatically. So as long as you've signed into Windows to access QuoteWerks, when you launch QuoteWerks from your machine, it'll automatically check your login information with Windows and log you into QuoteWerks. This is really great because it's just one less password you have to keep track of. So again, something I'll show you, very easy to set up and use in your organization. QuoteWerks commands. I'm going to just start with a disclaimer here. This is going to be specifically for advanced users in QuoteWerks. The QuoteWerks commands, what these will do is allow you to change settings in your system, in your QuoteWerks installation, without having to adjust each user or the system manually. So you can actually run some commands to carry out these instructions for you. We'll go through a couple today, but this would be a great opportunity if you have questions or want to go into more detail. Contact our support team. They have kind of a list of specific commands that can be useful for you, and I would contact them first because we want to make sure that you're very familiar with QuoteWerks before you start making these types of changes, because it does affect how your system is going to operate. You're going to be changing system settings or user settings. So this is for advanced users only. When we get there, I'll make another mention to it when we actually demonstrate it. But for a list of commands, you can look in the help file for some more information, but also contact our support team. They can help with that as well. But like I said, essentially what it'll do is allows you to customize settings much easier and faster, where we can change user settings, we can change system settings with just running a couple of these commands without having to go to each user and make those adjustments. And then one of the other new features that we released in Build 6 and 8 was our ConnectWise REST API integration. So ConnectWise completely switched from their SOAP API to the REST API, and that also allowed us to not only update our integration, but add some new functionality as well. So we added recurring product support, which is a big one. So any of you that are selling products as a recurring option, that's now fully supported in QuoteWerks. We can also check inventory for your ConnectWise items. So for any of you that are using ConnectWise as your inventory for items, we can check that directly from QuoteWerks from the product lookup window. And then agreement creation, this is probably the biggest one. You can now set any item with the mapped field of agreement. Once that goes over from QuoteWerks to ConnectWise, it will prompt you to then create the agreement upon the normal ConnectWise processes. So it makes it really easy to kind of have that full circle, everything close when you're going from QuoteWerks to ConnectWise. So some really great functionality, and possibly one of the best features about it is this is incredibly fast. It's going to be a really, really fast integration between the two systems. And like we talked about kind of in the introduction, being able to calculate your Ingram Micro financing options through QuoteWerks, that's going to be available now. You're just going to have to reach out to your Ingram Micro rep to get your reseller ID. You'll see here in the screenshot, this is basically where you'll put that information in your real-time setup. So very easy to do, very easy to set up, so you'll have that information available. As always, if you have questions or need assistance, you can contact us by phone. You can send us an email. We're always happy to help. We have a lot of videos on the website as well, so it's a great place for information. The help file is our up-to-date information about QuoteWerks, all the features and functionality that's in there. We do record all our webinars, so if you go onto our videos page at the bottom, you'll see the webinars section, and that has a list of all the webinars that we've held previously. There's also a forum on the website as well. This is great to interact with other QuoteWerks users, so highly recommend utilizing that if you have the opportunity. And then our partners, if you are looking for more like direct help with QuoteWerks, someone that might be local, we have a lot of partners all over the world that are really knowledgeable in QuoteWerks and can provide a lot of assistance. So if you're not sure who to work with, you can always contact us directly. We'll be happy to help. And as always, we're going to quite a few events here in 2017. I know we're kind of starting to wind down here that we're now in August, but we do have 2 trainings left for Quote Workshops. The first one is going to be in Boston for September 28th and 29th. So we'll be there doing a full two-day training. We're going to be at various ASCII events throughout the next few months. Exchange coming up here in just a couple weeks. We'll be there, so make sure to stop by the booth there. And then we are going to be holding our first annual QuoteWerks User Summit. This is specifically for QuoteWerks users to get some training, some networking. It's going to be a really great event, so definitely check that out. We'll be sending out some more email blasts about that, but you can always contact us directly for information. And always, as always, social media is a great place for information to see kind of what's going on currently with QuoteWerks. Like, check us out on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. We always upload our videos to YouTube, and obviously LinkedIn is a great resource as well. Down at the bottom, the sales team is always available to answer any questions, even if they're not technically sales related. So if you do have just general questions, feel free to reach out to us. We're always happy to help. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to QuoteWerks itself. So I told you it wasn't going to be too bad. It's a very short PowerPoint presentation. So we'll go ahead and we'll exit out of there, and we'll start in QuoteWerks first. The first feature we're going to work on today is going to be our Windows login support. So in QuoteWerks, so the first feature we're going to talk about today is going to be the Windows login support. This is very easy to set up, so we'll open with that, something that everyone can take advantage of. So in your QuoteWerks installation, simply go to Utilities, scroll down to User Maintenance, and this will open up a list of all the users you have in QuoteWerks. Highlight your user. I'm just going to use myself for this example, and click Edit. Now when you click on Edit, you're going to see, for those of you who have just updated, you're going to see this new area on the login screen that has your username and domain. That's all you have to post in order to log into QuoteWerks automatically without having to prompt for your password. So you would put in your username. So this would be whatever you log into when you're logging into Windows. So the same username and then your domain. So I don't have it set up here, so I'm just going to put in just QuoteWerks for example here. But that would be my username and my domain. And then I can hit OK, and then the next time I go to log into QuoteWerks, it won't even prompt me for my password. It'll simply log me directly into QuoteWerks. Now, for those of you who may have, you want to log in, or maybe you need to change user, when you go to log in, when you double click on like your shortcut to launch QuoteWerks, if you hold the Shift button, that will actually bring you to the login screen. So if for some reason you do need to log in, maybe you want to log in as the administrator to make some changes to the installation, instead of logging in as yourself, that's absolutely fine. Just like I said, when you're about to launch QuoteWerks or when you're launching QuoteWerks, hold Shift and it'll bring you to the login screen. All right, so easy enough to make that change. Next, we're going to go on to your QuickBooks Online integration. So we're going to show you how you can easily integrate with QuickBooks and get this set up. So the QuickBooks Online integration is going to be set up under Tools, Options, and then you're going to go to your Tenant Account tab. The reason you're going to go to your Tenant Account tab is because QuickBooks Online is a subscription. You're actually going to need your account credentials. Now, for those of you that already have QuoteValet, you'll already have your account credentials in QuoteWerks. If you don't have QuoteValet, then we can provide those to you, and we will provide those to you if you have signed up for the trial or if you've purchased the QuickBooks Online subscription. First thing you'll need to do is, if your account number and password are not in there, go ahead and enter them. Once they're in there, go ahead and test, make sure they're valid. And then after that, go ahead and validate your subscription. You should have a validation notice that tells you, hey, yeah, this is validated, you're good to go. And then you can continue with the setup. So to set up the integration with QuickBooks Online, simply going to click on the Accounting tab. You're going to have a drop down that lists QuickBooks Desktop or QuickBooks Online under the QuickBooks integration portion here, and you would simply choose Online. And then I'm just going to reset my integration here so that we can walk through that. So you'll see the option says Establish Connection, so that'll be your first option. We'll choose Establish Connection. And then if you haven't logged into QuickBooks Online, which I already have, but if I hadn't, it would prompt me to log in. And then once it logs in, you simply need to choose your proper company file. And when you select your company file, it'll bring you to the authorization page. You simply need to authorize QuickBooks and QuoteWerks to integrate. It should just take a second. And then you'll see this confirmation message. So if you don't see this message, go ahead and try it again or re-log into QuickBooks as like the administrator if you don't see that confirmation message. Then on back into QuoteWorks, you'll see there's a test button. Go ahead and click on the test button here. That will double check that your authentication was a success, and you can go ahead and hit OK. Now if we want to set up the link, we can click on Set Up Link, and that'll open up our link window with QuickBooks Online so that you can see how to set it up in QuoteWorks. I'm not going to go through every field or every part of the settings here just because it would take an hour just on itself to explain everything. This is fully documented in the QuoteWorks help file, so if you have questions about a specific field, you can go through that. For those of you that are using QuickBooks Desktop, but you're going to be moving to QuickBooks Online, the setup is almost identical, so it'll be very, very similar. So you can look at the settings you have currently and just replace them in here with the online subscription. But just to go through it quickly, some of the major ones, you have 3 transaction types, whether it's estimate, invoice, or sales receipt. We can also choose your document numbering, so just like our desktop, whether it's QuickBooks auto numbering or the QuoteWorks document number. You can also choose the date of transaction, how you want POs numbering handled. Your export settings. This is probably going to be one of the most overlooked features, but it's really nice, even for you QuickBooks Desktop users, where you can tell QuoteWorks only to display these types of documents in your QuickBooks window. So if you look at my top right here, I have this QuickBooks window. If I click on that, that'll show me a list of all my documents that are ready to be exported to QuickBooks. In this case, I'm only looking for, or I'm only going to be shown documents that have been converted to an order and their document status is set to open. And then once it's been exported to QuickBooks, it'll actually change my status to exported. So it's a nice little feature to have there and functionality to utilize. So make sure you set that up. For those of you that are in a different country, so obviously I'm using the US version, but if you're in Canada, the UK, Australia, your sales tax window, this is what's going to look different. So for any of you that are in a different country other than the US, your tax window is going to look slightly different. Everything else should be the same. It'll operate just fine. Those are the other countries that we fully support. So it's US, Canada, UK, and Australia. Any other one of the QuickBooks Online countries should work. We just haven't tested it. But according to Intuit, they all use the same API, so it should all integrate properly. But again, if you're not sure, just let us know. We'll get you a trial subscription so you can test out our integration. Make sure it works before you purchase it. Simply go through the mappings just like you would in the integration. Set your defaults. Same thing for items. And the last one, the QuickBooks Online info. This is extremely useful for our support team. So you'll see there's a copy to clipboard option at the bottom left corner. So if the support team is asking you to help troubleshoot their whatever they're working on with you with QuickBooks Online, they may ask for that info. So that's an easy place to find that information. QuickBooks Online is a little more difficult to figure out what version you're running, anything like that. So just that's a kind of a easy place for us to store it and find it for you. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of here. And then we'll go ahead and hit OK. And then I'm going to go back into my QuickBooks setup window. So this is my export to QuickBooks window. This will show me, again, all the documents that meet my criteria of being converted to an order and have a document status of open. That means that it is ready to be exported to QuickBooks. And you simply select the document that you'd like to export. You can do multiple documents if you'd like, just like the desktop integration. And then we'll hit export. And then this will open up our QuickBooks Online integration. And then any items that don't appear or don't exist already in QuickBooks Online, QuoteWorks will prompt you to create them. So it'll have the item name, the item description, and then you can set the item type. So if it's inventory, non-inventory, if it's service, so we'll say it's non-inventory, and then you can select the correct income account. So we'll just say it's going to be billable expense. And if you do purchase this product or service, if it's an inventory item, then you can actually set the COGS account and the expense account if you need to. For my purposes, I'm just going to hit OK here. And then as it goes through the rest of the items in your document, it'll prompt you with that same message so you can make the adjustments as needed. And then once the document has been created and sent over to QuickBooks Online, you'll get the confirmation message here in QuoteWerks that this document was sent over, and in our case it was sent over as estimate number 1007. So I can hit OK. So now if I go into QuickBooks Online and we go to our estimates here, I can go to my estimates, and then I can see there's my estimate that I created right here. And if I click on it, that'll open that estimate in QuoteWorks, or in QuickBooks Online rather, and you'll see a list of all my items. So just like I created it in QuickBooks, but QuoteWorks just saved you the time. So the integration is super easy to use, especially for those of you who have used QuickBooks Desktop in the past. The integration is going to be very, very similar. Additionally, if you do want to have QuoteWorks create POs for you, we can absolutely do that using the integration. All you have to do is go to your purchasing window and make sure you have QuickBooks Online set as your purchasing. And if we go there, we'll save our document real quick. It'll open up our purchasing window. We can then choose our vendor, and we'll say Ingram Micro, select a couple items, choose Create PO, and then just simply check the box to export to QuickBooks. You can have QuoteWorks send over the document, and then hit OK. And QuoteWorks will actually send over this item and this document over to QuickBooks Online for you. And then it'll even tell you that the document was sent over to QuickBooks. Okay. So stepping back, let's go back to our document here. The next feature I wanted to talk about is the QuoteValet video support. So a lot of times it's helpful for users if you can provide more information about what you're selling. So specifically, we made it easy where you can attach videos to your document or to specific line items in your document, or both, to provide for your customers some more information. So I'm going to show you how to do both. Very, very simple, and I'll even show you the setup for it, which is also very easy. So the first step is under the Links tab. You'll see down at the bottom there's a section that says QuoteValet Videos. This is where you can attach those videos simply by choosing Add. And I have my installation already linked with my YouTube account, but if I didn't, I would actually be able to put in a title of a video. So we would put in the video title here, and then you could copy and paste the YouTube URL. So you just make sure that it's a YouTube URL. Right now, that's the only video type we support, so it's not going to support Vimeo or anything like that. So it needs to be on YouTube. As of right now, we may add and broaden the support for it later, but obviously YouTube is the most common and most prevalent, so that's the one we're supporting at the moment. But this will allow you to essentially link any video to your QuoteValet documents that you'd like. Now, if you sync your YouTube account with QuoteWorks, then you'll actually be able to choose from your YouTube account. So if I wanted to select this video, you can see here when I select the video, it actually populates the title and the URL for me, so I don't have to copy and paste anything. You can even double check it just by clicking on Play Video, and that'll open up the video to be played in QuoteWorks, or in YouTube rather. When you choose Autoplay, when the client views your document, this video will automatically play. Now in QuoteWorks, you can attach as many videos as you'd like. So on our document, if we wanted to include more than one video, we can do that. However, only one of the videos can be set to autoplay. The other one is automatically going to be set to no. Even if you set it as autoplay, the other one will just be, it'll automatically revert to no. So just keep that in mind. There isn't a limit on how many videos you can put on your document, but in reality, you're probably just going to want at most just a few. Otherwise, it's going to be way too much information for the client. So very easy to add videos. If you need to edit the video, just double click. If you need to change like the title or the video URL or anything like that, you can simply just double click on the option there. Now in the Document Items tab, we can actually attach a video to any one of these line items. So if you highlight a line item like I've done here, simply by selecting it, and then in your grid toolbar, which is the toolbar up at the top, simply choose the Show Hide Picture Panel button, and that will open up the video option. So this will look very similar to the Links tab. Click on Add, and just like from the Links tab, we can select a video that we'd like to include. It'll populate our title, video URL, and then we can hit OK. Now, a couple things to note, just small differences between the Links tab and the individual line item videos. Since it is a line item, it can only have one video associated with each line item. So I could have a video for this line item and this one, this one, this one, this one, but I can't have more than one for each one. So just keep that in mind. If you try to add a second one, it'll just pop up a message letting you know that you can't do that. Again, if you need to make a change to it, just double click on it. So if you misspelled something or you just want to change it, you can adjust it as needed, or you can remove it as well. Additionally, we're not going to autoplay videos on the line items. That functionality is only going to be available for the document videos. All right, so let's hit OK. I'm just going to close out of this window. So let's go ahead and upload this to QuoteValet so we can see what it's going to look like. It's going to prompt us to save it, and then we'll go ahead and we'll upload it here. And then now we can preview and see what it would look like. So I had this one set to autoplay. This is my QuoteValet and QuoteValet Insight webinar. So you can see here, as soon as I clicked on the link, it started playing that video. You can see it is live, so it is counting it down. You'll also see the other video is available as well, so you can click on that. You can close out of this. So if the client closes out of that, it's not a big deal because they'll have the thumbnail that they can always re-click on if they'd like to watch it. And then if we scroll down, you'll see my line item videos right here. And then if I click on it, that'll open it up in a separate window where they can view that video. It'll open in this window, but you'll see there's always the YouTube link, so if they want to watch it on YouTube, they can. All right. So that's easy enough. Functionality, very easy. If you haven't synced up your QuoteWerks installation with your YouTube account, the only thing you won't see is that drop-down menu. So when we click here and we have this drop-down menu, that just won't be available, and this button will be grayed out, but everything else will remain the same. So we do recommend putting in your YouTube credentials in QuoteWerks. I'm going to show you where you can do that here in just a second. But if you don't have a YouTube account, you just want to be able to link videos from like your company website kind of as needed, you can absolutely do that. You just have to copy and paste the YouTube URL here. So in QuoteWerks, if you're going to set up your YouTube account with QuoteWerks, you're going to go to Tools Options, click on the tenant account, and then you're going to go to your QuoteValet setup window. And then from the QuoteValet setup window, you'll see there's an option to, in my case, mine's already paired, but if mine was unpaired, there'd be an option that says pair with current YouTube session, and then it'll just walk you through pairing it with YouTube. Very easy. It's very similar to the way the QuickBooks integration was set up, how you authorize QuoteWerks to talk with your YouTube account. So it's just basically going to authorize you to do that. And then you can test the pairing, and then you can even set those default videos. This is where I was talking about earlier, where if you wanted to set default videos to appear on your document so you don't have to manually set them on your links tab each time, you can absolutely do that as well. And you can do them for quotes, orders, or invoices in QuoteWerks. All right. Again, for those of you that are posting questions, I am going to circle back at the end of the webinar, and I will make sure to address as many as we can in the time frame. All right, so the next feature I wanted to talk about is going to be the QuoteWerks commands feature. So I kind of mentioned this in the PowerPoint that this is going to be more of an advanced feature. So what the QuoteWerks commands does is under your Help About menu, there's an option that says the Settings Manager. And the Settings Manager stores all of the settings for QuoteWerks in this easy to access area so that you can make changes without having to kind of search for it. But basically the commands allow you to run specific settings for users or for your installation to make those kind of adjustments across your system or for specific users. The reason we mention this, and you'll even see at the top, it's for advanced users only, is that you are changing options in the installation. So you do have to have master rights to make these changes. So if you don't have master rights, you may not even see that option. If you even get in here and you don't have master rights, you won't be able to change anything. So just keep that in mind. But all of these are various options in the installation. If you go into the help file, it kind of breaks down the differences between the section names, the key value, that information. You can also see the last modify and last modified by. You also have a search here, so if you're looking for a specific setting that you wanted to change, let's say like company message. So here we have our company message 1 and company message 2. This is where you could actually make a change to that. So for instance, if I wanted to run a command where I wanted to set a company message, I can choose run. And then I'm going to copy and paste this just because I don't want to have to type this all out. But this is kind of the breakdown of how it should be, how it should look when you're trying to set a command. There's basically 3 different types of commands. In this case, it's set. You can also do get, which is essentially retrieve, and delete. So if you want to delete a setting, you'll probably use set and delete the most because those are setting a new setting or deleting a previous setting. But there's a get, like retrieve the setting of what it is. But once you put this information in here and hit OK, you'll actually get a confirmation message that it was set. And if we look down here where I just put that, you can see the value has now been saved in there, and that has been set for my installation. So I don't have to worry about not having that company message in my documents or in my installation anymore. Again, where you're going to get the most benefit from this functionality is being able to make changes to multiple users without having to go into each individual user and change the user. You'll see on the left-hand side, we do break it out by system settings, site settings, and user settings, so you can choose kind of how you want to filter, and then each section, kind of the different options that are available in the section. So it kind of helps you drill down for what you're looking for, or like I said, you can also use the search. When you do the spotlight search here, you can see, since it highlights everything in bold, if you click on the little minus button here, this will remove the non-spotlighted results from this list. So it makes it a little easier to see what you're working with. Now don't worry, it doesn't delete all those settings. You didn't just lose every setting that's in your installation. It's simply removing them from this, and you can always kind of like reset it as needed. So if I just go back in here and hit system settings again, it'll refill all my settings in the installation. There are some examples in the help file that you can look that kind of break it down for you, but like I said, really need to be an advanced user. But if you do have more questions, this is something that I would definitely recommend contacting or getting in touch with our tech support first before you go in here and start trying to make changes. It's a really, really useful functionality, but you kind of need to understand how it works first. So just contact our support before you kind of start messing around in there. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. So we're going to move on now to our one of the new features in QuoteWerks, which is one of my favorite features. So one of my favorite features in QuoteWerks is the reporting engine for QuoteValet, which is called QuoteValet Insight. So if I go back to my web browser here and I go to quotevalet.com/insight, this will bring me to my QuoteValet login page, and I'm just going to use my login. So just like I'm logging into QuoteWerks, I'm going to use the same username and password. This will bring me into my QuoteValet Insight dashboard. And under my dashboard, you'll see there's an option that says Approvals. And when I click on Approvals, it's going to be a new feature for you that says State. And that's going to allow you to filter your approvals by the ones that are approval pending and the ones that are approval denied. So basically it means approval pending is this document has been requested approval. So you can see approval requested. And has not been approved yet. So if it shows up here, it means it has been requested by the user, but it hasn't been approved yet. If you deny your approval, or you want to see documents that there have been denied approval, you can actually see a list here. So very, very useful. Makes it very easy to kind of filter between documents that need attention and documents that don't. And on the administrative side and on the sales side of things, because on the sales side of things, you can see which documents still need approval, And then on the management side of things, same thing. You can see which documents you need to approve. So it just makes it a little easier to kind of filter through those documents and see which ones you need. Best part about this feature is there's no setup involved. It's just on for you. So the next time you log into QuoteValet Insight, you'll be able to see that information. All right, and then there's some other functionality I wanted to go through, just some of the smaller features that we added that can, again, help you save some time. So the first one we're going to talk about is the ability to exclude results from your Eatalize search. So for instance, if I go into Eatalize here and I do a search for trip light switch, and this is a very generic search, going to have 564 items. And if we narrow it down to, let's find one that's maybe like discontinued or something like that. What I can do is if I don't sell this item or this item is no longer available. So perfect here. This is a good example. So this item's not found. We'll say this item's been discontinued. None of the vendors are offering this item anymore. I don't want it to show up in my search results. What I can do is actually right click on it, and you'll see there's an option that says exclude from future Eatalize results. This is especially useful if you sell a lot of the same items on a regular basis and you see that you're seeing all these older items in your Eatalize results and you want to kind of remove them from your search. You can do that. Now the great thing is, if you happen to mark something as exclude from future results and you realize that that was the wrong one or you didn't mean to do that, you can go into the settings manager, which we talked about, and actually add it back in. There's a section for it. Don't go in there and just start adding them. Just contact our support team. So for any of you that are worried about using this functionality because you don't want it to be permanent, there is a way to basically have this item added back into your search results. Just contact support. We can do it through the settings manager. So, but it's a nice little feature, nice little touch to the Eatalize integration. So that way you're not having to kind of wade through all these features or all these products and services that are not even available anymore. You can actually hide them from your search results moving forward. Okay. One of the other features I wanted to talk about is the layout designer and an upgrade to it. So we added the ability, if you look here and if I right click, you'll see there's a new menu. So we kind of reorganized the menu where we added the ability to see the text color. And we added the full color spectrum for you so you can utilize that as needed. It's really great, so that just makes it a lot easier to keep all your documents branded with your same company color information. So before we were limited by how many colors you could have for your text. Now you can use the entire spectrum. It's all available for you. So very easy to use, very easy to use here, and you can see you can support the custom colors that you set up in your installation. Those are available as well. And again, nothing you need to set up for that. That functionality just works. All right. Two more, and then I think we'll move on to questions here. So one of the features that we added and we kind of talked about was the Ingram Micro real-time lease functionality. So this is where you can actually see where you would set that up. Under your leasing tab in your real-time setup, this will actually let you see that information. And in QuoteWerks, the way it works is just like if you're using Great America. When you click on the Sale Info tab, you would simply choose Add Lease Payment option and get lease payments, and then QuoteWerks will calculate your lease payment for you per month. So just very easy to use feature. All you have to do is contact your Ingram Micro rep to get that lease information, or that lease ID rather. All right, and then the last feature that we added was the ability to change the PO template for your purchase orders. So any of you that are using the purchasing order integration here in QuoteWerks, let me open up my purchasing window. If we go to our purchase orders tab, you may want to send this PO. So if I choose email PO, you'll actually see this PO template. And we just added the functionality where you can now change this template. However, it's going to be in a different place than you're used to. So it's not going to be in this window. It's actually going to be where you edit the email templates. So a lot of you may be saying, where do I edit my email template? It's going to be under Tools, Customize Email Templates. And then if we go to scroll to the tab for users, or for owner rather, to system, you'll then see at the bottom right hand corner there's an edit sys purchasing PO HTML, and that'll open up our window, and then we can change that here, and then you can see all of the macros that are populated, and if you want to adjust or change any of these, you can absolutely do that. So it makes it very easy to make any changes to that PO template. So if you want to change the colors, fonts, include other fields from the document, you can absolutely do that here. All right, so I think we're in good shape. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording and start taking questions offline. For those of you who attended today, thank you for coming. If you don't have any questions, again, thank you for your time. Download the latest update to get all this functionality and features. If you do have questions or need assistance, definitely let us know. For those of you that posted questions, just hang out here for the next few minutes and I'll kind of run through as many of those as I can get to. But again, thank you for your time, and I hope you have a great day.